JL. Our schedule today is a little bit different because today is Fun Friday, and instead of having our shorter Fun Friday, we get our big, long Fall Fest. Give me a yes on 1, 2, 3.
Yes!
What are you doing in each of your classes to make sure that you're attending Fall Fest? How are you getting +5 points over and over to make sure that you get to 175 points? You have up until who do you go to right after lunch?
Mr. Cruz.
You have up until Mr. Cruz's class to earn those points. So if you think you're a little bit behind, what are you doing in each of your classes to get to Fall Fest? Got me? And you guys know where at Fall Fest this year with 3rd grade and 5th grade, so you really don't want to miss it because whatever fun stuff is planned out there, you're going to be able to play with the young kids a little younger and kids a little older than you. Yes, start now.
We're doing like we did last year, like when we go to all our class and then right after Fun Friday, we did just come back.
No, you're going to go to your afternoon class. So you go to me, Miss Stewart, then lunch, then Mr. Cruz, then Fall Fest, then Miss Lamette. So you're following your same schedule, but instead of recess, we have an hour-long Fall Fest instead. Jules. Okay, chapter 4. In our story today, we're going into our 2nd chapter of Hatchet. In our story today, Brian is going to try to solve the problem that he came up with. That he ended up having. What was a problem in chapter 1? What was Brian's problem in chapter 1? What was the biggest challenge he faced? Pair and share. Two claps, 1, 2. 2 pounds, 1, 2. A problem is the challenge that Brian faces. What's the challenge that Brian faces in chapter 1? Try JL. And so what is Brian going to have to do now? Yeah, he's going to have to try to fly the plane and figure out what's going on. That's a problem he needs to fix. When we get really big challenges, our body responds in certain ways. Our body either has a flight response, meaning that we run away. Our body has a fight response, meaning that we are trying to defend ourselves, or we freeze up. How do you think Brian's going to solve this problem? Do you think he's going to fight? Do you think he's going to flight, run away, not physically fly the plane? Or do you think he's going to freeze up? How do you think Brian might try to solve this problem? Pair and share. Pound, 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 clap, clap, clap. Pound, 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 clap, clap, clap. That for me? Fix it. As we're reading today, I want you to think, how does Brian try to solve this problem that he encounters in chapter 1? Take out your Hatchet books. Thank you, Willow. Thank you, Gloria. Jordan. Thank you. If you do not have a Hatchet book inside your desk, raise a silent hand. Okay, track me. Track the back wall. We know based on our Module 1 test, something that we need to work on was vocabulary. What's something we need to work on?
Vocabulary.
Eyes back to the board. I say, you say turbulence.
Turbulence.
Turbulence is fast-moving air or water. So if you're on a plane, they might say, the pilot might come on to say, we're experiencing some turbulence when the plane is getting kind of bumpy, and it causes the plane to get a little bit rocky. Same thing happens on a boat. You might experience some turbulence if the boat is getting a little bit rocky because water or air is changing directions. I say you say it, horizon.
Horizon.
The horizon is the line in the sky where the sky seems to meet land. You might be driving to school and see a beautiful sunset on the horizon. On the what?
Horizon.
Horizon. What?
Horizon.
You say it, transmit.
Transmit.
In chapter 1, before the pilot had his heart attack, he tried to transmit a message to tell people that he was in danger or he needed help. When we transmit a message, it's like another word for send, or to send a message to communicate with somebody. As we're reading, you're going to see these words in your text. You can always look up at our vocab word wall if you forget what they mean. Okay? Good fiction readers think about the characters, setting, problem, and solution in their story. As we are reading today, I want you to think, what are the characters, settings, problems, and solutions? Turn to page 2 in your packet. I see Michaela already writing down what I have on the board so that she can take notes on characters, setting, problems, and solutions. Jalen's pencil is moving. Page 2, Monet. Jared's pencil is moving. Darnell's pencil is moving. I see friends that are earning their way to fall fast. JL's pencil is moving. Good, Willie. Ronaldo's showing me he's finished by having his pencil down and his hands in the star. Once you are finished writing down your bullet points, characters, settings, problems, and solutions, I want you to turn to page 21 in your text. If you need a reminder, where can you look? Good. Willow's open at page 21. What can I give points to? Remember, we are listening to audio of Hatchet. As we are listening, we're tracking with their fingers. I'm walking around looking at who's tracking, following along. I'm going to pause our recording halfway through so that you can jot down any notes about characters, settings, problems, and solutions. Turning to page 21, touching the top of the page.
Noise in the headset. After half an hour of listening and repeating the cry for help, he tore the headset apart.
Pause. It's going to get big in a second.
Threw it to the floor. It all seemed so hopeless. Even if he did get somebody, what could anybody do? Tell him to be careful? All so hopeless. He tried to figure out the dials again. He thought he might know which was speed.
Keep your finger on the top of page 21. It's going to get there in 1
But he
second.
didn't know if that was actual miles an hour or kilometers, or if it just meant how fast the plane was moving through the air and not over the ground. He knew airspeed was different from ground speed, but not by how much. Parts of books he'd read about flying came to him. How wings worked,
Good,
how the
Michigan, wait
propeller
for it.
pulled the plane through the sky. Simple things that wouldn't help him now. Nothing could help him now.
Eyes to text. Now we're on
An hour
21.
passed. He picked up the headset and tried again. It was, he knew, in the end, all he had. But it was
Great
always-
tracking with Jordan.
He felt like a prisoner, kept in a small cell that was hurtling through the sky at what he thought to be 160 miles an hour. Headed, he didn't know where. Just headed somewhere until... there it was. Until what? Until he ran out of fuel. When the plane ran out of fuel, it would go down. Period. Or he could pull the throttle out and make it go down now. He had seen the pilot push the throttle in to increase speed. If he pulled the throttle back out, the engine would slow down and the plane would go down. Those were his choices. He could wait for the plane to run out of gas and fall, or he could push the throttle in and make it happen sooner. If he waited for the plane to run out of fuel, he would go farther, but he did not know which way he was moving. When the pilot had jerked, he had moved the plane, but Brian could not remember how much or if it had come back to its original course. Since he did not know the original course anyway and could only guess at which display might be the compass, the one reading 342, he did not know where he had been or where he was going, so it didn't make much difference if he went down now or waited. Everything in him rebelled against stopping the engine and falling down. He had a vague feeling that he was wrong to keep heading as the plane was heading, a feeling that he might be going off in the wrong direction, but he could not bring himself to stop the engine and fall. Now he was safe, or safer than if he went down. The plane was flying. He was still breathing. When the engine stopped, he would go down. So he left the plane running, holding altitude, and kept trying the radio. He worked out a system. Every 10 minutes by the small clock built into the dashboard, he tried the radio with a simple message. I need help. Is there anybody listening to me? In the times between transmissions, he tried to prepare himself for what he knew was coming. When he ran out of fuel, the plane would start down. He guessed that without the propeller pulling, he would have to push the nose down to keep the plane flying. He thought he may have read that somewhere, or it just came to him. Either way, it made sense. He'd have to push the nose down to keep flying speed, And then just before he hit, he had to pull the nose back up to slow the plane as much as possible. It all made sense. Glide down, then slow the plane, and hit. Hit. He would have to find a clearing as he went down. The problem with that was he hadn't seen one clearing since they'd started flying over the forest. Some swamps, but they had trees scattered through them. No roads, no trails, no clearings. Just the lakes. And it came to him that he would have to use a lake for landing. If he went down in the trees, he was certain to die. The trees would tear the plane to pieces as it went into them. He would have to come down in a lake. No, on the edge of a lake. He would have to come down near the edge of a lake and try to slow the plane as much as possible just before he hit the water. Easy to say, he thought. Hard to do. Easy say, hard do. Easy say, hard do. It became a chant that beat with the engine. Easy say, hard do. Impossible to do. He repeated the radio call 17 times at the 10-minute intervals, working on what he would do between transmissions. Once more, he reached over to the pilot and touched him on the face. But the skin was cold. Hard cold. Death cold. And Brian turned back to the dashboard. He did what he could. Tightened his seatbelt, positioned himself, rehearsed mentally again and again what his procedure should be. When the plane ran out of gas, he should hold the nose down and head for the nearest lake and try to fly the plane kind of onto the water. That's how he thought of it. Kind of fly the plane onto the water. And just before it hit, he should pull back on the wheel and slow the plane down to reduce the impact. Over and over, his mind ran the picture of how it would go. The plane running out of gas, flying the plane onto the water, the crash, from pictures he'd seen on television. He tried to visualize it. He tried to be ready. But between the 17th and 18th radio transmissions, without a warning, the engine coughed, roared violently for a second, and died. There was a sudden silence, cut only by the sound of the windmilling propeller and the wind past the cockpit. Brian pushed the nose of the plane down and threw up.
Pause there. Take your book, put it face down on your desk so you don't lose your spot. Thank you for getting there quickly. Jot down any details you learned about characters, setting, problems, or potential solutions. See Michaela's pencil moving, see Denia's pencils moving. 60 seconds, then we'll pick up our reading where we left off. Sit up straight, JL. Thank you. What problems are flying into? 30 seconds. You will have more time at the end after we finished reading. I'll check at the end. Thank you for showing me you're ready for feedback. 10 seconds. Picking up on page 25. Good. Monet's book's already back over because she knows it's going to be time to read soon. So is Dorian's. Pencils down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Flip your book back up. Boys in the back. Flip your book back up. You'll have more time at the end. Thank you. Looking at the beginning of chapter 3.
Going to die, Brian thought. Going to die. Gonna die. Gonna die. His whole brain screamed it in the sudden silence. Gonna die. He wiped his mouth with the back of his arm and held the nose down. The plane went into a glide, a very fast glide at 8 altitude, and suddenly there weren't any lakes. All he'd seen since they started flying over the forest was lakes, and now they were gone. Gone. Out in front, far away at the horizon, he could see lots of them. Off to the right and left, more of them, glittering blue in the late afternoon sun. But he needed one right in front. He desperately needed a lake right in front of the plane, and all he saw through the windshield were trees, green, dead trees. If he had to turn, he didn't think he could keep the plane flying. His stomach tightened into a series of rolling knots, and his breath came in short bursts. There, not quite in front, but slightly to the right, he saw a lake, L-shaped, with rounded corners, and the plane was nearly aimed at the long part of the L, coming bottom and heading to the top, just a tiny bit to the right. He pushed the right rudder pedal gently and the nose moved over. But the turn cost him speed, and now the lake was above the nose. He pulled back on the wheel slightly and the nose came up. This caused the plane to slow dramatically and almost seemed to stop and follow in the air. The controls became very loose-feeling and frightened Brian, making him push the wheel back in. This increased the speed a bit, but filled the windshield once more with nothing but trees, and from the lake well above the nose and out of reach. For a space of 3 or 4 seconds, things seemed to hang, almost to stop. The plane was flying, but so slowly, it would never reach the lake. Brian looked out to the side and saw a small pond, and at the edge of the pond some large animal, he thought a moose, standing out in the water. All so still looking, so stopped, the pond and the moose and the trees, as he slid over them now, only 300 or 400 feet off the ground, all like a picture. Then everything happened at once. Trees suddenly took on detail, filled his whole field of vision with green, and he knew he would hit and die, would die. But his luck held, and just as he was to hit, he came into an open lane, a channel of fallen trees, a wide place leading to the lake. The plane, committed now to landing, crashing, fell into the wide place like a stone, and Brian eased back on the wheel and braced himself for the crash. But there was a tiny bit of speed left, and when he pulled on the wheel, the nose came up and he saw in front the blue of the lake, and at that instant, the plane hit the trees. There was a great wrenching as the wings caught the pines at the side of the clearing and broke back, ripping back just outside the main braces. Dust and dirt blew off the floor into his face so hard he felt there must have been some kind of explosion. He was momentarily blinded and slammed forward in the seat, smashing his head on the wheel. Then a wild crashing sound, ripping of metal, and the plane rolled to the right and blew through the trees, out over the wall, down to slam into the lake, skip once on water as hard as concrete, water that tore the windshield out and shattered the side windows, water that drove him back into the seat. Somebody was screaming as the plane drove down into the water. Someone screamed, tight animal screams of fear and pain, and he did not know that it was his sound, that he roared against the water that took him and the plane still deeper down in the water. He saw nothing but sensed blue, cold blue-green, and he raked at his seatbelt catch, tore his nails loose on one hand. He ripped at it until it released, and somehow, the water trying to kill him, to end him, somehow he pulled himself out of the shattered front window and clawed up into the blue, felt something hold him back, felt his windbreaker tear, and he was free. Tearing free, ripping free. But so far to the surface, and his lungs could not do this thing, could not hold and were through, and he sucked water, took a great pull of water that would finally win, finally take it, and his head broke into light, and he vomited and swam, pulling without knowing what he was doing, without knowing anything, pulling until his hands caught at weeds and muck, pulling and screaming until his hands caught at last in grass and brush, and he felt his chest on land, felt his face in the coarse blades of grass, and he stopped. Everything stopped. A color came that he had never seen before, a color that exploded in his mind with the pain, and it was gone from it all, spiraling out into the world, spiraling out into nothing.
Whew, okay. Take a minute and a half. Jot down any other notes you need to add to characters, settings, problems, and solutions. Pencils are moving. Who can I give points to? Characters, settings, problems, and solutions. Willow's pencil's moving. Jalen's pencil's moving, not wasting a single second. LaJordan's pencil's moving.